Okay,
Okay.
awesome.
So, what type of writing is a student introduced to in a social work class? And what type of writing do you as a professor do? And is it professional, casual? And are there some similarities and differences as a professor and a professional in the field?
Yeah, so I think the students in social work are introduced to a variety of types of writing. Typically, early on, students are introduced to reflective or creative writing. In Social Work 101, I think, in 200, you do a lot of reflective essays based on why do you want to be a social worker or what do you think about topic A, B, or C. Then I think in the junior level courses, students are introduced to how to write case notes. So a lot of that professional writing, how to do an assessment, how to write case notes. Maybe that comes in the second junior class. How to write termination. I'm losing the word for all of the professional forms, but the things you do in 301 and 302 that are assessment and termination, and those professional things. And then I also think that students are introduced to writing to a particular skill in social work, that's advocacy, because you have to write a couple of advocacy letters in one of the human behavior courses and in one of the policy courses. So I think students are introduced to a wide variety, and then of course the research
Mm-hmm.
with the research paper and some of the other courses. Did you ask me what I do? What
Yeah, like
kind of
as
writing I
a
do?
professor.
Yeah, so as a professor, I do a wide variety of writing. I use a blog to promote different social justice issues. So I do kind of creative, informed writing through a blog. I also do opinion pieces, which is kind of a mix between research and educational writing. Um, when I was a practitioner, of course, I did case notes and assessments and summaries of that kind. All of that writing is shorter and less technical, I think, as opposed to like writing an article, which is always going to be much longer and has to be more professionally done. There's lots of guidelines for page limits and words and stuff. So in social work, I feel like you have to have the range of all of those
Mm-hmm.
writing skills.
So do students like understand the social work way of writing right away, or does it take a long time to process and to actually like understand it?
I think it takes a long time. One of the things we always try to emphasize is that your case notes are always a legal document because they could be subpoenaed by a court, especially if you work in child welfare or with the elderly. And I think that's hard for students to grasp that you have to really write professionally because this can get sent to a court one day. So the idea of correct grammar and correct spelling, and then there's certain language that we use in
Mm-hmm.
social work, and so I think students struggle with transitioning out of the liberal arts foundation into those social work courses. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's hard to understand sometimes.
What are some examples of like that type of like those specific type of words like jargon like used in the field?
Yeah, well, just the word assessment
Mm-hmm.
itself, I think, and termination, all of the words that are related to someone's diagnoses or state of being, like their mood. In GP1, we teach about writing an assessment in which you have to observe someone's mood and their affect. So just those words alone are jargon specific to the profession, but then how to describe someone's affect as bright or flat, because bright and flat means something different outside of the social work world. So I think just like those kinds of things, translating that kind of stuff. And then just the need to be objective and not project your own opinion about what you think the client is feeling and just stick to the facts. I think that's really hard for students in social work.
So a first year student, right, is introduced to social work writing, and then how does that transition into the later courses? Like,
So I think in the first year, students do a variety of writing. They do reflective, they do like a formal paper, not necessarily a research paper. I think it just, the papers get longer and more technical. I think that's
mm-hmm.
what happens, and less reflective writing and more critical thinking is involved in the social work writing. The classes in which the professional type of writing takes place is really in the human behavior and the research courses, which fall like junior year or end of sophomore year to junior year. So I think it's a big leap. A lot of students have said it's a big leap from what we did last year. So I think it's a big change, yeah.
Do you think writing as a social worker is more difficult than in other professions?
I don't think so, only because I feel like social work is part heart and soul work. And so I think as students reflect about clients and their work with different populations, part of it is heart and soul. So then the technical part just flows from that. It's not strictly technical jargon. Like I feel like if you were writing for nursing, where you write down a lot of medications and medical terms, which is a lot from your head, or, you know, science, where it's a lot of different terminology that's not related to you, not connected to you personally in any way, that might be more difficult. So I think it's just a matter of students getting used to it, and I hope that by second year they're comfortable with it. Here we go. Okay, so part of the confusion I think students have in writing is that often in their English classes they learn the MLA style, and in social work we require APA style. So I think that causes some confusion for students as well. Yeah.
And is there a certain way like the APA guideline goes for a social worker?
No, I think it's the same APA guidelines that's set by APA. I think some faculty get loose about how to do your in-text reference or your works cited page, but other than that, it should be pretty standard.